yourself? Like,
Well,
I'm going to
no.
present some really flashy images, and I'm going to let you kind of figure out.
Well, I mean, that's my thing. Yeah,
about.
I sort of like kind of said, you know, sort of, yeah, picture like the movie as sort of dark woods, and you have put the audience member right in front of it. As a storyteller, you might just leave them a little trail to go through the woods and come out the other side of your story. But other ones I've seen are sort of like, here you go, and now you figure out the rest of the way. You know, the director doesn't really seem to tell the story. They just seem to show a bunch of images and then force the audience to put everything together without giving them anything to stand on, without showing them like, oh, this character is married, this character is well liked by people, like showing this person walking down the street, seeing people nod and smile to him, or this person is hated by people. To give an idea of a character, they basically have the audience have to form all the ideas, everything they want. The audience has to form for themselves.
I think that one of the things that we have to be careful about when we're discussing it right now, though, is that it's still up to the filmmaker, because the filmmaker has to fail as well as succeed to learn the craft. You have to.
I agree with you 100%.
So these are just, and your comment is inspiring. My comment. These are suggestions, because you don't know what the vibe is going to be of the audience, what people want to see. You never know. It's like magic. It just appears. You don't know why, or you don't know how somebody's going to react to your film. So it's like any performance. You don't know how the audience is going to react. So your best bet is to just commit to what you want to do, and there's only two ways it's going to go: good or bad. That's it, and that's not a tragedy. No, failure is phenomenal in art.
I agree completely. How many of you guys, you students here, feel like you have an opportunity to fail throughout the process of your education?
Yeah, and you land on your ass and you get up having learned something. You know, it's fantastic.
I know that there's a lot more kind of, you feel like there's a lot more at stake, but by the time you get to your thesis project, though, you feel like, well, okay, I've been failing a lot, and that's cool, I've been learning a lot, but at this point, I'd rather succeed.
A lot of times, like, all the professors want to say, you can't make it short, you can't make a feature. And as you think,
What do you mean, you can't make it short, you can't make a feature?
That's what is kind of gossip about. Like, you can't tell your story in 10 minutes, and you can't execute it well, then you have no business trying to create a feature.
I don't know if you tell your story, but a story.
A story,
Yeah.
right. Not every story, but a story.
I think that there might be some legitimacy to that. I agree with Vincent that I think stories demand the length that they need.
Right.
You know, we do put limits on you guys, and that's for pedagogical reasons. You know, we do say, listen, you guys, 12 minutes for this project is going to have to, you're going to have to do it, you know, and we try to structure, as educators, we try to structure projects so that you're looking at a limit and you're working within those constraints for good reason. We're not just arbitrarily making these.
And it's also not just the finished product that why you're making the film. It's for the experience of shooting and the experience of a crew. So that's why a short or any form of shooting is a good idea. To get on somebody else's crew, to do your own film. I mean, if that's what they're promoting, then that's the right way to go. I mean, because to be the captain on a ship, to be the director on a set, is an experience that can only be had one way, and that's to make film. To be that director on that set. And it's a lot easier to get a short together than it is a feature. And so you can do 5 shorts before you ever do your feature, which is probably a good idea, just for the experience alone. You know?
I think a really great example of that is up in the air. Jason Reitman. Yeah, Jason Reitman did. You know, he comes from. You know, his pop is established Hollywood guy, and I'm sure he probably could have gotten his foot in the door directing a feature a little earlier. But you know what? He cut his teeth and did the work and made 7 short films that really stood on their own and said, you know what? I can direct. I know I'm Ivan Reitman's kid, but look, man, I know how to make a movie, and I'm going to prove it. And he didn't just do 1 short to do it; he did 7, and all of those shorts are pretty outstanding. And then, you know, turned around and said, "Listen, I've established that I understand story structure and how to direct a film. Now let's see what I can do with the feature length." So I think that's a really awesome example.
That's the key. Yeah. shoot.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know one of the things I struggled with in making a short is that I based my short on a short story that I had written, but you know, like Hitchcock says that like the short story is the movie, that like a short story translates into a movie.
Right.
That's the best like adaptation. And so in making the short film, like I didn't really know how to make it into a short story like of the short story. And so I think I overtold the story, and when I got to editing, it was really confusing. Like there was a moment where like the movie didn't make any sense, and there was like random people that popped up, and like you know, just you wouldn't have even known. Like I had to cut out like 2 of my good friends that did it as a favor, and like are more established, like you know.
So you had to kill your darlings.
And we had a conversation where he said to me, and I got to like really learn from you know working with a really great editor, where he said like what do you want to tell in this story? Like what are 3 things that you want to tell in this short film? And like we both discussed them and we said them, and then after we had you know said those 3 things, then we were both able to like lose everything else in the movie. And then when we did another cut, like all of a sudden the story made perfect sense. And so like that was really
that's
good.
the perfect experience because you need exactly that mentality to make a feature.
Yeah.
You'll have those same problems in a feature. It doesn't matter how the film could be a minute long or 2 hours long. You're going to have those exact problems. So that's why you make shorts. It's for that reason.
Have you guys ever seen that film that's, you know, 2 hours long that probably should have been an hour and a half, or that film that's 17 minutes long probably should have been about 9 minutes long? Just dragged on and on, yeah. And I know that's really difficult because as students.
Conspirators. I didn't see it, I'm just joking.
I'll back you